Views expressed in the videos are my observation, analysis of events, persons based on principles of astrology. It's not my intent to predict, forecast absolute outcomes, only suggest how they may unfold. Nothing is set in stone. I could be wrong, but often I'm right. My desire is not to promote fear, only inform about what we see unfolding. It is our wish to prepare our subscribers for events that could affect them, their family, their goals, and their future, to help to prepare for what you may already suspect is happening, and to send a warning shot across the bow and raise a flag of concern. Our goal is to help, not hinder, in these perilous times, to inspire and offer possible direction, and to reveal that a greater plan and purpose are behind all that is happening. Eventually, we will see a brighter day. If you would like to show your appreciation for our work on these videos or this channel, and also the Knowing Whispers channel, you can always click on the word thanks at the bottom of all the videos. Hello everybody, it's Robert Cosmar of the Astrology of Life YouTube channel and also the Substack newsletters, Knowing Whispers Messages from the Universe, Trump and America, and Ask the Astrologer. Today I have a surprise for you. I was originally going to do a more in-depth video on the period beginning leading up to the election and beyond into 2025 to give you an overall feel of the tenseness and the energy of that period of time. But I found something else here. I got one of those whispers that I get every once in a while to kind of redirect me to do another video in a different way. And you may not have seen this particular type of video. I don't know whether other astrologers have caught this or not, but I'm going to show you something and I'm going to explain to you why this was kind of a red flag for me. What you're looking at right now on the screen is the date, November the 5th, 2024, the date of the election. And I've done videos about this. I'm sure other astrologers have done the same thing. The thing that maybe they didn't talk about, though, I think is extremely important. You can see here that Pluto is within almost less than 2 degrees of being in an opposition to Mars. And of course, if you have any astrological insight learning, you know that Pluto opposing Mars is a perfect aspect for violent conflict. All right. Now, the thing that may not have been talked about, though, is that this particular day is a birth chart for the election. All right. Which makes it a little bit more than just a daily event. All right, we're talking about something that could actually have an effect beyond that day into the next election. And I'll get to that here in a little bit. All right. And of course, when I'm looking at this, and this is something that you may not know because I don't talk about it a lot, but sometimes when I'm doing videos and I look at the charts and stuff, I have to deal emotionally with the feelings about what I'm saying because, you know, like anybody else who looks at a horoscope and you see something unfavorable coming up, there's always that tendency for your imagination to get caught up in what you think may happen. All right. And that's one of the unfortunate things about astrology that astrologers have to guard against because our clients often are very imaginative. You know, they may have read about something coming and they read it in a book and the book might, oh my God, particularly the older ones. All right. But the key point I want you to understand about this is that the election, in a sense, on the 5th of November is the next presidency. All right. So hypothetically here, what we could be saying is the universe saying that this presidency is going to be involved in violent conflict. Okay, now whether that's Democrats or Republicans, it's not easy to say. I suspect if you could look at several different charts, you might get a better feel, but Even doing that, you may not know the exact answer. But I do know this. This particular chart is the birth of this election cycle. Okay? So, this next presidency could be one that is embroiled in a lot of turmoil and conflict. And of course, we know that if Trump is in charge, that's a given. If Biden is in charge or somebody else is in charge, it could be that they're thrust into a situation that's very volatile and very scary, quite honestly, for all of us. All right. Now, this didn't occur to me until I was looking at the charts, the graphic ephemeris that I was going to use today for the broad period here in 2024-25 with the energies. But when I realized that on the inauguration, which is January the 20th, 2025, when the next president will be inaugurated officially, okay, something else is going on here. It's not as powerful as it was back on election day, but it's still going on. And the reason why this struck me is because I know that Mars, after it makes that first opposition to Pluto, it goes retrograde and comes back. So you can see here that Mars, on the day of the inauguration, January the 1st, 2025, is still within orb of 7 degrees of this Pluto because it's coming back. Okay, it's going to be coming back. All right, I'm not too sure exactly what day, but you can see here that it's still within orb of influence. And also, okay, Pluto is conjuncting the Sun. Okay, Pluto conjuncting the Sun. Transformative. Okay, powerful. All right, indicating, I think, strong willfulness. All right, and of course, we're all wondering right now who's going to be the individual who's going to be inaugurated. Okay, so what I'm showing you here, again, this is the birth of this particular president's term. He has Pluto conjuncting the Sun. He has Pluto in opposition to Mars. All right. Are we looking at a term of office in which there is considerable violent activity, okay, going on in the country? All right. Is that a possibility? All right. When you take a look over here, that's a condition of Mars on that particular day. All right. Obviously, it opposes the Sun, but it also squares the Moon. It also opposes Mercury. All right. This to me indicates a lot of emotional and mental turmoil around this particular date. Maybe both at the executive level and down in terms of the public, because the Moon would be the public and the Sun would be the administration. Okay. This could be an indication that the president who comes in has to be in control or decides to take control. Okay. And of course, depending upon who we're talking about, all right, it could be extremely devastating and dire, or it could be a lot of pressure and stress upon, let's say, for example, Joe Biden to have to come into that situation. But he does seem to be an individual that is quite capable, you know, having been in Congress and in the upper branches of things over, 40 years, maybe 50 years. He's seen it all. He's been a part of it all. And he seems to have a level-headedness about things and a proper understanding of the position of president and how to treat us people versus somebody who's solely interested in only one thing, and that's himself. And that's why he wants to get back in power. Okay. But I think there's something to be said here about what I'm showing you. And this is why, like I said, I think I was kind of given the go-ahead or the elbow to talk about this, because oftentimes we think of events as not being the birth of things, of a cycle, but they are. Okay. The date of your birth foretold essentially how your life is going to unfold, what karma you will endure, what lessons you may learn, what growth you may experience. And the same thing is said of these two charts, both the election day chart and the inauguration day chart. Now, the one nice thing about this particular chart is that because Mars is not as close in opposition to Pluto, it might not be as strong as a conflict or resistance as we'll see on the date of the election. Okay, if you've been watching TV, watching the pundits on TV, MSNBC or other, Fox or whatever, you know that the Republican Party and Trump in particular are devising new ways to stir up trouble, new avenues that maybe haven't been thought of or explored. And as you know from life or from having watched, crime dramas on TV, the criminal always has the advantage. The criminal always has the advantage in any criminal enterprise, unless by some strange precognitive reason, the good guys or the intelligence people have a sense, of what could occur. And I would imagine that probably the Democratic Party and the Department of Justice and the FBI, they all have a sense about what is going to happen and what Trump is doing. Okay. And this will lead into the next video that I will do, that I hope I'll do, which is the one on a panoramic view of the energies, that will be experienced prior to the election and on and beyond the election into 2025, regardless of who wins. And you need to keep that in mind. Any of this is not a way of me saying that Donald Trump has won and oh my God, here we go. It's possible, but it's not necessarily what will happen. Okay, it could be an indication that, as I mentioned here a little bit ago, he stirs up a tremendous amount of trouble. There is limited violence, around the country or in key points on election day. But then after that, things settle down a little, but there is turmoil still to be navigated through, because maybe the Supreme Court gives him immunity and all the court cases that are against him are dropped. All right. I think in some ways that's more likely to happen if he is elected than if he's not elected. If he's not elected, they may just say, oh, get rid of him and allow all these court cases to come about. But there's also something else here that I come back to. Whenever I look at these things and I get that sick feeling to my stomach, I go back to this Uranus transit because it does square his Mars, which rules his house of health and also his 7th house of relationships. It's going to square that Mars, which rules his 9th house of legal proceedings. The 7th house also has to deal with counselors and attorneys and things like this as well. So something's going to happen to him, and it's going to happen and have an effect upon him for several months going on into 2025. I think the last time that Uranus squares Mars in passing from retrograde is in 2025. And maybe universe, the higher self, energies involved in this have decided, well, we've seen enough and we're going to take the main character out of the whole story and we're going to let them to deal with the aftermath of what's been stirred up. We want them to figure it out for themselves. So this is what we're walking into. This is what we can expect, and this is why I have been cautioning and I have been trying to, gently as I can, warn my viewers and subscribers that this is not going to be a pleasant experience. You may already feel, this sense of they're not dealing with Trump properly. It's slipping into his hands. Oh my God, where are we going? You may have that feeling, because I have that feeling at times. And without the astrology, I would probably be at wit's end myself, because it would be a horrible, horrible, horrible thought to have him in the presidency again, knowing what we know about him. And the sad part about this is knowing what we know about ourselves, what we know about our fellow Americans, our fellow human beings, that they would be willing to vote for somebody that is obviously very demented, sick, unhealthy, unhinged, and to put him in a seat of the power systems of our government, our military. It is an unbelievable thought, an unbelievable thought. And again, going back to what I said about the people that are on MSNBC, okay, and others, Fox included, they're all kind of sensing this. They're sensing this situation is not becoming under control, okay, and wishing something would happen, something would stop, okay. I think it would be, just as I thought, I'm going to pass this out to everybody. Some of you may like it. Some of you may think, oh, well, that makes sense to him, When I want to get a pretty good idea about what is going on, and I want it in a non-emotional way, okay? I watch MSNBC like I'm sure a lot of you do. I don't watch Morning Joe very often because quite honestly, it's too emotional, all right? But I will watch Ari Melber, who's on at 6 o'clock, okay? He is a attorney journalist, and he's very gifted at laying out what's happening non-emotionally, okay? So if you wonder where I go when I want to get a common sense, balanced approach to what's going on, I'll watch him to keep apprised of what's happening, okay? Because he tries to give a balanced view to everything. If you watch Morning Joe, Joe's liable to start cussing, or he's liable to throw something, and then his wife, will have to try to calm him down. And it's really too upsetting, I think, to watch that. So again, keep that in mind. If you've been looking for some newsworthy program that will tell you what's going on, caution as well as to give hope. I think that Ari Melber is an excellent journalist, attorney to watch explain things. Okay, so back to this, all right? We have two birth events. The birth of the election of a new cycle on November the 5th, the birth of a new presidency. And we have volatile aspects between Mars and Pluto, okay, going on at this particular time, all right? These are a signature of what we can expect. And when I go into the next video, which probably I'll do next week, all right, you'll want to try to keep this in mind. And I'll show you some of this over there as well, okay, when I'm talking about it, because I want to lay out all of the factors in terms of where we're headed spiritually, consciously, emotionally, and mentally through the election itself and then beyond the election, okay, because you'll get a pretty good idea what's to be done. And as I've said so many times in my live streams as well as these particular videos, those of you that are pursuing your inner life, okay, you want to cultivate as consistent as you can of a personal time meditatively within to keep your center, to keep your balance, because these aspects of Pluto and Mars are very unhinged, they're very volatile, they're very reactionary, their fear being triggered to an nth degree, their hate being unleashed. And this is something that if it were to hit significantly at the highest level, it could flow it down into our personal communities, our personal cities, okay, our individual states, okay. If we were to see something succeed like January the 6th, okay, in Washington, D.C., this kind of instability, if it's not brought under control, can filter itself down, the triple effect, okay? If people are losing their noodle on the news because of what they see happening, this could trickle itself down into our own personal, individual area, and that would truly be tragic, okay? All right, thank you for watching. If you feel so inclined, share this on the internet. I don't have a title for it yet because it just came to me, and I'll have to sit back and ponder that for a little while. I've mentioned the Substack newsletter for those of you that want some nourishment and some support. Okay, the Knowing Whispers messages from the universe from my guidance is very helpful in being able to understand and to deal with what you're going through. Also, CJ is getting some very excellent guidance from her guides that she puts out on her excuse me, on her newsletter, CJ's Whispers of Awareness. I would suggest that you also take a look at that. It will be of help to you when you look at these things that are going on. And for those of you that are members and subscribers to the channel, as I say this every week that I can, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for all of you that comment and that share your insights on these videos. It's important for me to hear from you. All right. It's important validation for me that I'm on the right track about what it is that I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Okay. And for those of you that occasionally make donations, those that have made donations through the live streams, use that function. Thank you so much. It is helpful. You know, like I said before, it helps to pay for the relatively large internet bill that Comcast Xfinity gives us every month. And when you're retired and living off Social Security, and in CJ's case, a death benefit because her first husband was killed in Vietnam, it's appreciated, and sincerely. Okay, again, share this. It's a very important video, and I hope that you will be able to receive this knowing and understanding that despite the fact of all the chaos that our imagination is conjuring up right now, the universe is still in control, and it will not let something happen that's not meant to happen. Okay? And that has purpose. All right? And this is a time for significant change in our lives. Okay. Thank you all very much for being here, and I look forward to the next video.